Hello and welcome back to the Project Hercules Diaries. Please join me in marvelling the next edition. As you can see, I've done absolutely nothing. I haven't made a battery box, fitted the batteries, put any wires on, done any wiring or anything at all. And that's because my folks haven't been very well, so I've been going to see them in hospital. Some things in life are more important than others, and that will always take a precedence. However, I have had some time in waiting rooms in the back of ambulances and whatnot to do some retail therapy. So online shopping is the man version of normal shopping, where you just look at your phone and then stuff arrives in the door. It's the modern age. So I managed to buy 2 batteries. I selected the batteries and I've gone for these JMT lithium polymer batteries. They are super light. Can't do that with a big car battery. They're just over 1 kilogram each, and they really do pack a punch. Now, I'm not sponsored by anybody, but I bought these from Elite Motorcycle Services and they were very helpful. What's interesting is that they also supply the light aircraft industry. So every battery they sell, they pre-test, send you a report with the serial number of the battery, the health, the state, the charge, the voltage, and the measured cold cranking amps, not the vendor's claimed cold cranking amps, the actual ones off their test rig. Now, I didn't ask for this, I just ordered the batteries, but this is what they sent me. So 630 cold cranking amps on one of them and 645 cold cranking amps on the other. That is pretty impressive. That means if I put them in parallel, in theory there's over 1200 cold cranking amps of potential. Now, I remember reading somewhere, but I can't remember where, that with great power comes great responsibility. So I'm going to be very responsible with these batteries, but they do have a little power power meter. Look at this. Whoop, whoop, whoop. It says don't press it for too long or it might explode and everybody dies. So I'm going to not press that for too long, but they're 2 batteries and they fit quite nicely on the bike. I'll show you where we will probably end up putting them. As was always the plan, we can put the batteries up in between the chain there. There's plenty of room between the chains, and it would be quite easy to make a battery box. Now, they fit in that orientation. They also fit in that orientation, so I've got a couple of options, and there's definitely room to stack the 2 batteries one on top of the other. So that's probably where we will go once we've worked out whether we're going to wire them in series or parallel. And I won't make all of the carriers or everything yet. I will test them on the bike, and then when we know which way we're going, then we can work out which way the batteries need to go and what's the easiest way to connect them together. On the off chance that one battery is enough to start the bike, we could use one of them as a start battery and one of them as a run battery, and then just charge this separately. And if we did that, we could fit it there and just have a really short run for the main cable from the solenoid to the battery, and from there the starter motor to the earth of the battery. But I think you'll agree, well, it just looks a bit pants, doesn't it? Cannot be putting it there. Marvelous. Right, so I also bought some connectors. The other day somebody was asking on a video, where did I get these fuse holders? I did put a link in the description, but I actually picked them up from those people, their vehicle wiring products. Again, I'm not sponsored. I'm sure other vehicle wiring product companies are available. So I bought some pretty thick cable. Now, this is a 60mm squared electric cable, so it should be pretty good to hold that current on starting. I bought a meter of red and a meter of black, and I bought some ends. I haven't got a crimper that's large enough to crimp that on, but I'm probably going to solder them anyway and then heat shrink it, or see if I can borrow one, because the actual crimpers for these are quite expensive for what, 3 or 4 ends. I bought a couple of different versions. There's an 8mm hole in this one, there's a 6mm hole in that one, and that's because the battery terminals for the batteries here, these are 6mm, so they fit nicely in one type of terminal. Doing all this with one hand, and it's really quite a tricky operation. Not going to do that with one hand, never mind. But trust me, that's a great fit in there. And this one, 8mm, goes on the starter solenoid. On the bike, all right, Fred, out the way. There. And then just to make it extra safe, well, as safe as it can be. I bought these two and they would go over the ends, and then when it's on the battery they would go on there, because if this terminal touched the frame anywhere, well, that would really spoil your day. Okay, so that's where I'm at. If I do get a chance today, I might be able to make some wires and put those next to the bike and test whether or not we have enough juice to turn the motor over quick enough to start the bike. But I'm not sure. Oh, look, there's a Spider-Man, there you go. Not quite sure whether I'll have the time today, but that's where I am at. So as usual, you know exactly where we are. Thank you for watching, and more updates will follow.